In a cataclysmic incident threatening to shatter what remains of the Sussexes' already fraught credibility, Tuesday's Jeremy Kyle show broadcast devolved into absolute pandemonium after surprise guest Hugh Grant unleashed a shocking tirade accusing Meghan Markle of previously working as a high-end Los Angeles call girl. The 4 weddings and a funeral star's inflammatory appearance escalated rapidly after host Kyle broached the subject of Prince Harry's wife and her ongoing feuds with the royal family. "Oh, I find this whole self-crowned Duchess of Defiance routine utterly dreary and wearying to the extreme," Jeremy, a visibly agitated Grant, began after being prompted about Meghan's transgressions. "Let's just finally acknowledge what an absolute sham and total con this woman's entire public-facing persona is. Back when she was the Duchess Dixie Normus in the early 2000s, the only crowns earned were upon quite literally completing her appointments as a glorified prostitute working the Bel Air and Holmby Hills hotel circuits." Grant's shocking claims documenting Meghan's alleged involvement in Los Angeles' illicit sex trade during her first years as a struggling actress left the studio audience audibly shaken before descending into full-blown chaos. As the veteran actor ramped up his accusations over the former royal's purported history as a high-class escort, a clearly stricken Harry began audibly rebuking his inflammatory guest while gesticulating furiously in his wife's direction before the segment devolved into a physically violent altercation between men. "Stuff it, Grantchester, you boorish lummox, before I have security eject you like the miserable lout you are for uttering such unforgivable perjuries against my devoted wife," the Duke of Sussex shouted while lunging across the stage to confront his accuser. Footage shows the 2 aristocratic Englishmen initially engaging in a flurry of shoves and wild punches being thrown before a bloodied Harry ultimately slaps Meghan squarely across the face as she attempted to intervene, merely enraging Grant further as he persisted detailing the Duchess's alleged catalogue of debauchered behavior. "Oh, I'd say working high-class prostitution is rather a large step upward from Meghan's even seedier origins, getting utterly defiled in any number of Bawdy Alley and East Vancouver hovels as a wayward teen before even meeting her grotty first husband." Grant howled as show security desperately attempted separating the combatants. By the early aughts, she may have attained a certain professionalism after studying under legendary Madame Akira Lane's tutelage as a strictly high-stakes Bel Air call girl retained by Saudi excess and entertainment lawyers, even scoring her own Zoxo-rated Sunset Boulevard fisting specialty videos under the working name, Baroness Bondage Wood. While the precise details surrounding Meghan's alleged involvement in Los Angeles' underground sex trade remain murky amid the maelstrom of accusations, filming of the Jeremy Kyle segment deteriorated rapidly as a concussed Prince Harry seemingly regained his wits sufficiently to charge across the stage and attack Grant yet again. However, the Scion's second onslaught was quickly halted by a tearful Meghan slapping her own husband squarely across the face in stunningly visceral footage circulated worldwide by horrified viewers. "How could you raise a hand against one of your own blood, let alone your own wife?" An inconsolable Duchess is overheard screaming while aggressively swinging her hand against Harry's cheek. "I was a child who lost everything and endured the very depths of human despair before ever being blessed to find my redemption and purpose through your love. But if you would truly turn on the only person who could ever save your fragile soul as this reptilian snake is claiming, then so help me God I'll send you plummeting back into the hell of addiction alone." As the melee unfolded on stage with paramedics treating the combatants and security personnel attempting to restore order, the Jeremy Kyle program continued broadcasting even more inflammatory allegations contained within a purported dossier Grant brandished throughout his verbal tirade. According to the actor, the documents included compromising materials compiled by an anonymous underground network of hackers claiming to breach Meghan's emails, personal cell phones and data files extracting what Grant alleged amounted to irrefutable evidence surrounding her nefarious history. "This isn't simply a matter of sordid conspiracy theories or petty personal vendettas, Jeremy. What's contained across the dossier I obtained constitutes a shattering indictment exposing Meghan's legacy essentially as an apex predator in every sense. Throughout the early aughts, she represented the very iniquitous apex of Los Angeles' shadow elites operating under total unaccountability through high-end prostitution networks exclusively servicing financiers, celebrities, and influence peddlers constituting the overclass's most compromised assets," Grant claimed while presenting page excerpts potentially linking the Duchess to underage and ritualistic criminalities. Essentially, Baroness bondage would transcended typical courtesanship to become the sort of elite compromat honeypot conscripted by intelligence agencies and deep state operators to consolidate power over spheres of influence through compromising plutocrats into complete submission. God only knows what depths of Luciferian practices she was manipulated to perform in service of the Hollywood cabal during her formative training. While the full scope underlying Grant's dossier remains unverified, the seriousness of even a fraction of the allegations threatens to prompt dramatic legal consequences for the Duchess of Sussex, potentially unraveling the entire Archwell enterprise. Almost immediately upon the program airing, attorneys representing multiple sovereign wealth accounts severed all formal ties and multi-million-dollar arrangements with Meghan's multimedia productions and brand initiatives due to stipulated morality clauses within their existing contractual agreements. Sources within the legal departments of various royal principalities confirmed their monarchies terminated similar commitments worth over $1 billion collectively. Our law firm was immediately retained to terminate all ongoing engagements and commitments with the Duchess of Sussex's business interests following today's televised accusations. In the present legal environment, institutional standards compel us to summarily cease any remaining associations if Mr. Grant's dossier assertions demonstrate even partial credibility. One legal analyst familiar with international wealth fund divestments explained to reporters. No sovereign entity or established global enterprise can risk exposing itself to a client's alleged ties to coercion, underage sexual exploitation, or child trafficking, especially in the post-Epstein era. Across social media platforms, the hashtags #MeghanMarkleTruth and #CallGirlDuchess have attracted millions of shares across all demographics, rivaling even the peak infamy of scandals like the Pamela Anderson tape and Paris Hilton's leaked amateur videos. One since-deleted Facebook Live broadcast featured an interview with an unidentified former Russian intelligence asset claiming the hacker dossier contains classified corroboration. Meghan's initial Hollywood entree stemmed from compromising roles orchestrated by Russian crime syndicates also servicing their affiliated oligarch clientele. In the late 1990s, Putin's Kremlin essentially contracted all major Los Angeles escort services to stock their stables with fresh all-American talent obtained domestically from failing child actors, indebted struggling students, and particularly vulnerable at-risk youths trafficked from reservations, border towns, and other systematically disadvantaged communities. The shadowy Eastern European figure alleged on Facebook Live before deleting evidence. According to the files my former handlers retained, Duchess Meghan was among our most prized acquisitions during this systematic seeding effort at key Hollywood hotspots notorious for their underworld patronage. While Buckingham Palace and the Sussexes themselves have yet to publicly comment on Grant's bombshell claims, the revelations understandably proved too much for even their staunchest supporters to process. Virtually overnight, the Archwell Foundation lost virtually all mainstream corporate sponsorships due to the severity of Grant's allegations and public relations baggage, should any fraction ultimately prove accurate following appropriate legal scrutiny. Even long-standing defenders of the Duke and Duchess such as Oprah Winfrey have gone utterly incommunicado, apparently joining the British royal family in abandoning the beleaguered couple to contend with the rapidly escalating shitstorm entirely on their own. This, of course, is all quite horrific and literally represents my worst fears, lamented royal commentator Kristen Meinzer over the Jeremy Kyle footage cyclone now threatening the Sussexes' existence. In barely a week, Meghan's